Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome to Let's Start Story on What If Naruto back in Konoha village after marriage with Terra part 2. So do 4 blue hearts comment. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video and please share with your friends and watch till end. Also check out Patreon for I have upload Naruto X Rias and Akino uncensored spicy version, link in description. Naruto sighed, there were only a few more days left till the Chunin exam finals. In that time, Sakura had fully developed her pseudo-Tamarin bloodline and she was a Nick-y person to talk to when his friends were not around. Speaking of said friends, he had lost his connection with them. First it was Terra, around the middle of the month, and the strange thing was that the Hokage's journal appeared in his room overnight, with a note that just said, "Thank you." He had gotten close to her over that time and he begun to like her like he liked Raven, and he didn't know if that was a good thing. Still, it was nice of her to give him a kiss on the cheek the day before she left. Then the Titans disappeared a few days later and that freaked him out. Soon, however, the connection he got was that of a heartbeat from all 6 of them. That was a kind of good, but he wanted to talk to them to see what was up. Something was not right and he wanted to know what. And a few days ago, at the beginning of the week, he had to stop his training from Blackfire so she could get to Earth quicker. Even she was puzzled at the strange loss of connection. She wanted to find out for herself, and the fact she was losing time while in Naruto's world mentally made it hard for her to travel. Noticing his distraction, Jiraiya signaled for him to stop in their spar. That spiky hair pervert was now a constant in his life. He had taught the blonde how to summon. All he had to do for the toads was to hang on to Gamabunta for the whole day. For the Phoenix clan that he got from Raven, he had to let the boss Phoenix eat some of his fire to gain insight into her personality, and he passed her test, with her saying he had a pure soul. So Naruto sat down on the ground cross-legged. He needed a rest anyway. The Toad Sage was a slave driver in his training, but he liked it that way. It made him push himself. Anyway, he began to meditate as Jiraiya watched on. He had done so lately to make sure his pupil didn't die on him. Naruto dug deep inside himself, searching for any type of connection, and when he did, it was not what he was expecting. It felt familiar yet foreign at the same time. In his mind's eye, all he saw was white, and then he heard it. With his sacrifice, I bring about the 4 to bring about Desctruction. Whoever's voice it was, it sounded a lot like Sasuke's, but something was off about it and he could not place it. That is when the white light got brighter and he felt himself, or more specifically, his mind getting taken to wherever that voice was. It was just like in the Forest of Death. On the outside, Jiraiya's eyes widened as Naruto was enveloped in a white field of sorts. "I am not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing," he said to no one in particular. XXX. When the light died down, both Supergirl and a girl that looked like Lightning from FF13, except with brownish blonde hair, were openly gawking at what they saw, as were Orochimaru and Kabuto. However, Sasuke had fainted from using too much energy and could not see what had happened. In the place of this world's Naruto was 5 people and 4 of them were different versions of Naruto. Next, to the red-haired Naruto, or as he likes to be called, Foxfire, was this world's Naruto. He had red boots, white baggy pants, a white muscle shirt with a red V on it that went to both shoulders, red gloves that almost came to his elbows, a red trench coat with white flames along the bottom and on the sleeves, and he had on a pair of Romani sunglasses. He looked to be about 15. The next Naruto was Akatsuki. He had on blue jeans, black shinobi sandals, a fishnet shirt, and an open Akatsuki cloak that looked like it had seen better days. They noticed he also had on 10 gold rings and sword with a black blade. He looked to be 16 or 17. After that was a Naruto they had a hard time recognizing. He was very tall, probably 7 or 8 feet tall, heavily muscled, had dark green skin with a black Japanese-style shirt with black shorts. No shoes, an Akatsuki-style hat, and 2 Zabuza-like blades on his back. It was anyone's guess as to how old he was. Next to the big guy was a very beautiful girl. She had almost knee-high maroon-heeled combat boots, an orangish-red mini-skirt, a red shirt that showed off her ample sea-sized breasts, a beautiful heart-shaped face, and shoulder-length silky red hair and green eyes. Orochimaru's eyes widened when he saw the girl. The Fire Lord's daughter. Now what would she be doing here? Kabuto commented with sick smile. Get the girl, I'll get Sasuke. Orochi. Maru replied as he set a genjutsu over the large green Naruto, making him think someone else took the girl. They then disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Why do I get the feeling something bad is about to happen? Thought Paradox, and it seemed that his counterparts were thinking the same thing. Ooh-ah. Hulk Naruto roared and batted. His counterparts are from him. Where? He roared. We are in serious trouble, aren't we? Foxfire asked as he got back up. It would seem so. Akatsuki replied calmly, putting his darkness to the side for the moment. Well, you got us to help you out. Kara said as she and Nora came up to them. Sweet. Foxfire cheered. Oh, and the name's Naruto, but you can call me Foxfire. Akatsuki. Paradox. Nora, but you can call me Lightning. Kara, but call me Supergirl. Kara replied. So how are we going to kick the green Naruto's ass? I just gotta say this is weird. I am kicking my own ass. Laughed Foxfire. Mateem and I had to fight Red Hulk and his counterpart, Red She-Hulk. Akatsuki calmly stated. This will be hard. I guess we just wing it. Paradox commented as he shrugged his shoulders. Think fast, he said as he jumped away just as LK Naruto crashed a fist where he used to be. Where? What is he talking about? Foxfire nervously got out as he ducked under a rather large swipe from the green man. Most likely the girl. Akatsuki replied as he jumped back. She must have been important to him, and we all know we would do anything to protect a precious person. That made the other two Narutos nod in agreement. So what are we going to do? Nora exclaimed. Like I said, Paradox stated, wing it for now. He jumped high in the air, and when he came down, he aimed at Hulk's head with an axe kick. However, his leg was caught in a violent shockwave and then thrown into the tree line. Oh, try this, my friend. Foxfire said as he blasted blue fireballs from his hands to the Hulk, with Nora sending lightning bolts at the same time. Before the attacks could hit, Hulk growled and sent green energy to his hands and clapped. That sent out a shockwave of gamma energy out, disrupting the attacks. That made Akatsuki's eyebrows shoot up past his hairline. So, he is smarter than the Hulk in my world. He commented to no one as he saw Paradox shoot out of the tree line with white fire around his hands. Interesting. Paradox. And Supergirl rushed the green man from both sides, hitting him in the back and the gut, knocking the wind out of the Hulk. However, they were not done. Paradox lifted him up and threw him into the air. He then sent white flames and his heat vision at the green man, with Kara doing the same with her eyes. Lightning and Foxfire sent up their elemental attacks while Akatsuki called out, Fire Style, Dragon's Fury. A huge flaming dragon encircled the Hulk before plowing into him. Anybody order a Hulk, extra crispy? Foxfire joked as they watched him falling to the ground. ACATS. UKI activated one of his rings and disappeared, and then reappeared the green Naruto with his palm facing down at the Hulk. If they looked closely, they would have seen that his eyes had changed to the Rinnegan. Shinra Tensai. He called out calmly, sending the Hulk down with more force, hoping the guy would just stay down. The Hulk crashed down, creating a deep crater. All seemed quiet for a moment, and until the ground exploded thanks to an enraged Hulk. Give back Kira. Should have known that would not be all to defeat him, deadpanned Akatsuki. Hey Nora. Paradox called to the lightning user. Try going to the torch to see if you can find out where Orochimaru's base is. Something tell me this guy won't calm down unless he sees if that girl is okay. Okay. I am kind of useless in this crazy battle anyway. Nora replied as she hightailed it out of there via her lightning travel. Okay, my turn. Supergirl called out. She charged after the raged Hulk. XXX. Let me out of here. Kira screamed. He was currently chained up in Orochimaru's new base, which was in a dark place. Now why would we do that? Kabuto asked with a sickening smirk. You put Naruto in a genjutsu that made him mad. I am the only one who can calm him down. She pleaded. I figured as much. Orochimaru stated as he looked at her chained form. She was basically hanging from the ceiling. That is why I took you. That spell might have been a failure. But I am sure Naruto-kun will destroy this place so I can rebuild. You are sick. Do you know that? Kira growled out. Where the hell did we end up anyway? I don't recognize any of this in the elemental countries. Coo. We are in a completely different world. Orochimaru chuckled, making the girl gasp. Yes, and I don't know what happened to the Naruto in your world, but it would have been exciting to experiment on him like I did the Naruto of my world. You are the same sicko in my world. Kira angrily shouted. The snake man just laughed out loud. Oh, once this is all over, I will enjoy experimenting on you. He called out to a cowering Kira. XXX. Nora was fiercely typing away on the computer, yet she could not find where that snake freak was at, and it was driving her insane. It was at that moment that Techie walked past the doorway. Not a second later, he came back with a confused look on his face. Okay, I am here to fix the computers in the lab. What is a cosplayer doing here? Nora froze. I am just searching for something and I can't find it, she said as she looked at him with a nervous smile. If it is someplace that hasn't been used in a long time. Try satellite images or the power grid, the tech kid suggested. Of course, you can't really do that here unless you have hacking skills. Oh, Nora replied, and she got a good look at the tech kid. He wore DC skater shoes, a pair of blue jeans with an iPod hooked on it and one headphone in an ear, a black shirt with a random funny saying on it, blue eyes, and a pair of goggles in his short black and spiky hair. I am Nora, by the way, she said while holding her hand out, which he took. Kaz Masters, the tech kid replied as he shook her hand. Working on a story or just trying to find some creep who took a friend? Nora blinked. The latter, but how did you know what I was looking for? Well, the stuff on your computer isn't the norm, he said while messing with his iPod. Error: the satellite images and the power grids of the town for the past month. There was a ping on Nora's computer and all that information appear in her computer. How? Well, I did say you need DA hacker's brains for this and I happen to be one. Kaz chuckled. But, you look more of a skater than a full-blown hacker, exclaimed a completely shocked Nora. I'll take that as compliment. Kaz smirked. Besides, I like to get out once in a while, unlike some people I know. Gotta enjoy life. He then waved to her as he left the room. Nora sighed and went back to the files she had been given. And found a lot of oddities all in one place. The Smallville Dam. Well, next time I see him, I gotta thank him for helping me find a friend. Now Orochimaru, time to get shocked. With that, she turned into her lightning form and left through the ceiling lights. She never noticed a spy camera at the door, and it was connected to Kaz's iPod. Well, the famous reporter of Smallville has her own secret. Cool, he said to himself as he walked down the hallway. I wonder if Naruto and Terra have powers, but I do wonder who this Orochimaru person is. He made his way to the computer lab and used his iPod to turn all the computers into his very own spy room. Okay, let's find this Orochimaru person. XXX. Ah! Kara screamed as she was knocked away again, Paradox not far behind. This battle is turning out to be our version of the Doomsday fight, she said as he coughed up some blood. Tell me about it. Naruto grumbled. Paradox, Foxfire, give me some fireballs, Akatsuki demanded. He duo looked at each other and shrugged. If he had a plan, they were all for it. Paradox created a huge ball of white flames while Foxfire did the same with his ghostly blue flames. Akatsuki concentrated a good amount chakra to his hands before it shot out and covered the said balls of flame, creating two very large ball and chains. Akatsuki then swung them into the Hulk as they duel from a distance. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire, Foxfire cheered. Hey, never thought of that, Paradox commented. Well, it is a simple idea, I am surprised you didn't. Kara replied with a teasing smile, to which he just rolled his eyes. However, their eyes widened when they saw the Hulk catch both flaming balls and then pulling them, making Akatsuki come careening towards the green guy with a show CKED look, which then turned into a panicked one as the Hulk jumped into the air and slammed him into the ground, creating a crater. Ouch, Paradox commented. My turn, Kara announced as she rushed off toward the Hulk. No, wait, Paradox shouted, but it was too late. He should have known that when she was tired and beaten, she would rush off without a plan. Damn, where is Shikamaru when ya need him? However, his eyes widened when he saw that Hulk Naruto was not green anymore. He was red with fox-like features. Oh shit, that made him a lot more dangerous, didn't it? Foxfire squeaked out. Yeah, stated Paradox. He then growled when Kara buckled under Red Hulk's power when she tried to stop the guy's fall fists on her. She would not be able to handle this much longer by herself. Then Guy lifted his massive red arms up and then slammed them down. For Paradox, time seemed to slow down as he ran to help her, but since he was tired as well, he was not running at full speed. He needed power and he needed it now. That is when Foxfire saw and felt it. He saw Paradox suddenly disappear and then reappear in front of Kara, holding up the Red Hulk's fist like it was nothing. It would seem he reached deep inside himself for more power and got it. Akatsuki's voice said from next to him. They saw that Paradox's power had risen and his hair had changed, from sun-kissed yellow to flaming white, and it would seem the white flames on his coat seemed to be glowing. Well, guess I am going to have to do something random today. Foxfire grumbled as he took out a couple of white cubes. How did you survive that anyway? My Hidan ring. Akatsuki replied and got a confused look from his red-haired counterpart. I'll explain later. What are those cubes for? These are cubes of tofu and I have a strange reaction to it when I eat it. I fight differently. I called it tofu fighting. Oh great, this will be similar to Lee's drunken fist. Deadpanned Akatsuki. Lee's what? Never mind, just eat the damn tofu. When Foxfire did, all hell broke loose on the battlefield. Paradox roared and he lifted Red Hulk into the air, sending supercharged fireballs at him. Foxfire's form shifted and he suddenly had two very large machine guns at his sides that were attached to a large metal backpack-like thing on his back. He began to laugh hysterically as he shot his guns at the Red Hulk. Akatsuki smirked. Art is a bang. Right, Didera, he said as he activated one of his rings and sent multiple clay bombs at the red guy in the air, who was now just a roaring mess. Activating two more rings, he jumped high into the air, sending black flames at him, then forming a giant mallet of sand and hit him into the ground. Ha ha ha, laughed Foxfire as he was suddenly in a school uniform. Suki's from the melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya to more specific. Then a weird song begun to play in the background. What is going on? Kara said, just a bit freaked out. I believe we are about to see the extent of what Foxfire's tofu fighting can do. Akatsuki said as he landed next to her, same with Paradox. Wait, I know this song. The hell is the Sailor Moon theme song playing? Kara shouted, getting giant sweat drops from the two Narutos. Smoking weed by moonlight, molesting lollies by daylight, sang Foxfire with a very weird voice. Nope, it is the Sailor Pothead theme song, deadpanned Akatsuki. The sweat drops getting bigger. Never running from a real fight. He is the one named Sailor Pothead. Foxfire sang again, sending what looked to be fusion bombs at Red Hulk. I am on drugs no one can comprehend. His god he'll always defend. Kion has got a restraining order against him. He is the one named Sailor. That is when four clones appeared on the scene, calling out they our names as they hanged into random girls, Sailor Yui, Sailor Ritsu, Sailor Mugi, Sailor Mio, before they sent their own fusion bombs at Red Hulk. Okay, this is not making much sense. Paradox said with a sweat drop. I am sure the people in his world feel the same every time this happens. Akatsuki commented calmly. I hope Nora has found that Kira girl. Kara stated as she stood up as Foxfire began to sing again. With epic powers caused by drug abuse, he is the one named Sailor Pothead. Foxfire sang, smoking weed by moonlight, molesting lollies by daylight. With the lolly scouts to help fight, he's the one named Sailor Pothead. At the end he shot a larger fusion bomb at Red Hulk, who just roared in fury as he charged toward them. XXX. Kabuto. You did set up the right camera right, didn't you? Orochimaru asked. Yes. Why? The glasses-wearing ninja asked. I just saw a Naruto, the red-haired one, breaking into song as he fought. And Suigetsu is singing the song. Must be a power of his. Kabuto said as he watched with a sweat drop. They never noticed the lighting flicker as Nora snaked her way out of a light near Kira. Said girl smirked as she was surrounded by Nora and they disappeared in her lightning form through the light system. XXX. Alright, that last attack didn't work, so let's try something more powerful, stated Akatsuki as red energy surrounded him until it formed a large ball in front of him. Foxfire's form shifted back, but now his arm was a large cannon. Paradox powered up by yelling as his white fire surrounded him until he held out both of his hands. Ninetales menacing ball. Shock cannon. Quote. Big bang came hame ha. Stop. Came a voice none but one recognized, and that was the Red Hulk. The three powered down as the girl ran to the big guy with her hands on her hips. And to their amusement, Red Hulk shifted back into his green self and was cowering. How do you manage back home without me? She demanded. I leave you alone in a new world and you go on a rampage. But, no buts, big guy. Now I know you were under a genjutsu, but I taught you how to break them. These guys were trying to calm you down, but no. You go and use Kyuubi's power on them. I am sorry, Kira. Hulk Naruto mumbled. Good, chimed Kira with a smile, her demeanor changing in an instant. Now, when we get back, she said with a flirty smile. We are going to have some fun. I am so confused. Foxfire stated with a normal mindset now. Join the club, we got t-shirts. Paradox commented with a sigh. She scares me. Akatsuki stated. She is like Mirage. That is nice and all, but we should get out of here. Kara replied as she picked up the spell book that Sasuke dropped and had somehow not been destroyed. XXX. Right. Paradox said as he sat down in the training field at the back of his mansion. So the four of us are from different worlds. Question is, how do we get you back to your own world? That is simple, let the spell wear off. Kara said with a smile. How do you know that? Paradox asked. The book that those idiots left behind, I read it on the way back. Kara countered with a smirk. Ah, I see. Akatsuki said from his position. Hey, before we go, I want to try a barber shop quartet. Foxfire said. Clones are not as fun to use as real people are for this idea. Hey, sounds like a good idea. Paradox stated. Of course it does, it came from me and I am you. Foxfire replied. This is getting really confusing. Kira whispered to Nora and Kara, who just nodded. Minutes after they four Narutos did their barber shop quartet gag, Lana entered the field and shouted. Naruto. Yes. All four asked at the same time. Ah, I meant Paradox. Lana chuckled nervously. So are you okay? I heard the battle from here. You guys are lucky none of the authorities came by. Hey, I knew we were missing something. Paradox said while scratching the back of his head. Ah, don't worry about it. Nora cut in. I will make an article that will explain what had happened. Good thinking. Kara replied just as a white doorway appeared out of nowhere. Oh, I guess it is time for us to go home. Kira replied a little sad that they had to leave right away. Hey, we all have a connection, so don't worry too much. Foxfire said with a sad smile. Though I gotta say, it was fun meeting a few alternate versions of oneself. He then closed his eyes as he faded away from that world. XXX. Naruto opened his eyes just as the white field disappeared and noticed that Jiraiya was staring at him oddly. How long was I gone? About half the day. The Toad Sage replied. Come on kid, you can tell me all of what happened over a bowl of ramen. Sweet. Naruto cheered as they walked to the ramen stand. On the way, he smiled sadly, he did not know if he could get that connection again, but he was glad he got it that one time. He had new friends, even if most of them were himself. Whoa, Naruto called out as he ducked under a stream of pink flames. Regaining his balance, Naruto saw his training partner and teammate smirk at him before she sent out a few balls of pink at him while Jiraiya observed from the sidelines eating popcorn. So let me get this straight. You tried to contact your friends again, but instead went to a completely other world and met a few other versions of yourself. That and one of them was big and green. Akira asked as she watched Naruto dodge all but one of the pink fireballs. He had caught one fireball and charged it with his own blue fire. He then threw the now pink and blue ball of flame back at Sakura. Yeah, and when the Orochimaru of that world kidnapped the Fire Lord's daughter, and then that Naruto went in a berserker rage and the other Miis had to subdue him. Naruto said as Sakura dodged the attack. Sakura chuckled and said, only you Naruto. You are the only person who could say that and I would believe them. Hey, Naruto pouted. And even for me, that is strange. Jiraiya comment. Before he gained a lecherous grin appeared on his face. But I must say, your other selves are quite lucky in the girl department. This Akatsuki sounds like a lady killer, the green you has the Fire Lord's daughter. And this paradox might eventually get with this Supergirl. Oh, will you knock it off, Arrow Senin? Arg. Don't call me that. Then stop acting like a perv. Never. Boys. Came. Sakura's eerily calm voice, and when they looked at her, she was smiling evilly. Now you two stop or I will pound you into the ground. She yelled with pink flames in her eyes, making her look more intimidating. Yes ma'am. The two squeaked out in unison. Good, now let's train some more. Naruto has a Chunin exam to win. Sakura cheered with a smile on her face. 4x. Hey, when he wakes up, do you think we should scare the crap of him? Came Beast Boy's voice. That would be a cool idea. Cyborg whispered. Why would we want to scare the poo out of my brother? Came the oblivious reply from Starfire. They just want to prank him, Starfire. Robin groaned. I don't think that will work, you two. Raven smirked as she watched Naruto sleep in his bed. Why? BB blinked. Because I am already awake. Naruto yelled as he shot up into a sitting position in a hanged face that was that of a crazed clown. Beast Boy screamed like a little girl and jumped into a screaming cyborg's arms. Robin and Starfire were in a similar position while Raven was smirking the whole time. After they calmed down, they noticed that Naruto was on the floor laughing and gasping for air. Why, you should have seen your faces, he said as he finally stood up. Dude, that was freaky. Beast Boy cried out as he jumped down from Cyborg's arms. I have to ask though, how did you know we were there? Cyborg asked. Why? Oh, you guys have to pass through my mind to get to this world and it is kind of hard to miss. Naruto deadpanned before he smirked at Robin and Starfire. They were frozen in shock while the boy wonder was still holding his sister bridal style. Ahem. The duo looked at each before blushing and then laughing with everyone in the room, but not before Starfire got out of Robin's grip. So, where have you all been? Naruto asked with curiosity. We had to beat Slade into the ground after he took over Jump City, Robin grumbled. Blinking, Naruto gawked. Man, that could have been some good training. He paused for a moment to see there was something in their eyes and it looked like betrayal, and for some reason, he did not want to know what happened. So, what did you do while we were gone? Raven asked, and before he could answer, he felt another presence in his mind and decided to let her answer. Well, after you all disappeared, he tried to get a connection and it ended up in my head. Came a familiar voice to the Titans. They turned to see that Blackfire relaxing in a chair near Naruto's bed with a smirk on her face. Sister. Starfire exclaimed. Hello little sister. Came her playful reply. Wait, aren't you supposed to be in jail or something? Asked a clueless Beast Boy. I got out on good behavior. Lied Blackfire through her teeth. Hey, I found her in a bar. Naruto replied. Some space bar. Starfire looked at her sister in worry. Blackfire only drank on the day that her brother disappeared. Yeah, well, you don't have to worry about me drinking anymore, now that Foxfire is back. Balsifire grumbled at her sister's look. I still don't trust you. Robin replied with narrowed eyes. Think what you will, traffic light, but now that my brother is back, I don't need to act like I did. Blackfire replied with rolled eyes. Wait, you were acting bad just so you could cope? Asked Cyborg. Yes. Anyway. Naruto interrupted before things got out of hand. When you guys disappeared, I connected Terra and we trained here for a bit and then Blackfire came around. Naruto paused for a moment and then said, of course, she too disappeared not long after you guys did. That would explain some of her powers. But he will be crushed when he finds out what happened. Robin thought sadly. So Blackfire kept you company while we were gone? Asked Raven. For the most part. Of Sue. RSE when she was traveling through space, I could not contact her. He paused for a moment and asked, speaking of which, where are you now sis? I am on top of the tower. Was her nonchalant reply. Cool. Naruto cheered. Hey, can you all wait in the next room while I get changed? Then we are all going to Ichiraku's before the Chunin exams start. I got a few things to share with you all. 4x. Once there, the old man was crying with joy that his stand was full of people and quickly got to work. Okay, the first thing I want to ask is, do we have a special power to give our power to normal humans? Starfire and Blackfire blinked before looking at each and then saying, no. Well, we do now. Naruto commented. How? Came Blackfire's reply. I created this jutsu that simulates our strength, but as I found out, there are some side effects. Who used this jutsu and what are the side effects? Asked a curious Sapphire. My teammate Sakura used it and it has given her pseudo-Tamaranian powers. Naruto replied. Robin blinked. Wow. Yeah, and her fire is pink. Dude, that is hilarious. Hey, don't let her you say that. She was already scary when pissed, now it is worse. Naruto commented as their food came. The rest of the time, he recounted his time in the alternate world where he fought his Hulk-like self with the help of his other selves. Wow, that is interesting. So instead of finding us, you found yourself, deep. Mocked Raven with a smirk. Dude, that is so funny. You sung the Sailor Pothead song. Laughed Beast Boy. You know, Akatsuki, Paradox, and this green you sound familiar. Cyborg stated while rubbing his chin. Huh, was the collective response. Comic books. It would seem they are windows to this Marvel world and our alternate realities. Awesome, came Beast Boy's response. Even though he did not understand it. Well, I better get there. I'll see you in the stands. Naruto said as he quickly. Beast Boy looked to Cyborg and smirked. He is so going to kick butt. Got that right. Yes, my brother will do the kicking of the butt. Starfire cheered, getting odd looks from Robin and Blackfire. Come on, let's get some seats before they are out. Rave, En said with a small smile as she watched Naruto walk off. Blackfire noticed this and smirked. As they walked toward the stadium, Blackfire asked in a hushed whisper, so sister, did you tell Naruto he is going to have to take more than one wife? No, not yet. Sapphire replied thoughtfully. Oh ho ho, I can't wait to see his reaction. Blackfire chuckled. XXX. As Naruto was walking to the Chunin exam stadium, he was questioning himself on if he could win against a genius like Neji, no matter how much of an ass the guy was. Hell, he was not even watching where he was walking and ended up near 3 training posts and someone seemed to be training. Must have come here while I was on autopilot. That someone was Hinata. Oh, hey Hinata. The girl, eeped, before spinning around to see her crush stand there. Hello and Naruto-kun. So what are ya doing here? I was training a bit even though I should be resting. Hinata replied a little ashamed. Hey, well I am not going to yell at ya. I would be a hypocrite if I did. Naruto laughed. But please, don't overdo it. Oh okay. Hinata blushed a bit at his concern and then blinked owlishly at him. Shouldn't you be at the exams? Yeah, but I got sidetracked as I thought that if was not good enough. Like I am a failure still. I could not protect me friends in the other world from Slade no, but somehow they pulled through. Maybe I am the one who is weak. That is not true. Huh, I know you can win, Naruto. Hinata said without the stutter. Remember that time, when you cheered for me, back in the preliminaries? I felt like I could become stronger than ever before. When the preliminaries ended, I was able to like myself a little. To everyone else, it might seem that nothing has changed about me, but I feel different. Like I am a better person now. And I have been thinking, that it was all thanks you, Naruto. The blonde a completely shocked look on his face. Hinata, you really believe that is true? I mean I was just the dead last back in the academy. He paused and looked a little sad. I may look strong to you, but all I ever do is mess things up. I act all tough, but underneath it all, I am just a huge failure. No, that is not true. Cried Hinata louder than usual. Even when you messed up you were always how can I say this? A proud failure from my point of view. Huh, when I look at you, you just fill me with just so much admiration. She then got a little quieter and begun to poke her fingers together. I am not saying you are perfect, I mean no one is, but when you do make a mistake, you have the guts to pick yourself up and keep trying. I think that courage, to keep going no matter what, is what real strength is. She begun to blush some. I just think you are an incredibly strong person, Naruto. After she said that, she partially hid herself behind one of the posts. Hey, thanks Hinata, I needed that. I was feeling kind of down because I was not there to help my friends. But I feel 100% better now. I am glad you do. Hinata chimed with clapped hands and smile. Alright, I am off to the match, thanks again. He said as he started to walk up. But stopped and faced her some. Hinata, I kinda thought you were, Gloomy, always terrified, and basically completely weird. He replied. Oh, sighed the girl as a gloom cloud begun to form over her head until he said the next thing. But you know, I like people like you. He performed a few hand signs and called out, summoning jutsu. He was then in the air on a ghostly blue phoenix. Before he took off, he called out, oh yeah, make sure to watch me as I wipe the floor with Neji. With that, he rocketed towards the stadium. He never got to see Kiba trying to wake up a very red Hinata. XXX. Man, where are they? Droned Shikamaru as he waited with the others in the stadium for Naruto and Sasuke. He did not really care for Dosu even though he had to fight the guy. He looked up into the stand to see Sakura, Ino and Choji up there, along with Naruto oddly dressed friends and Sai. What a drag. He then noticed that the sky was darkening and they all looked up, only their eyes to widen as they saw a giant flaming bird, before it shot down in front of them in a column of blue flames. When it cleared they all saw Naruto standing there with his arms crossed and his eyes closed. He opened them and smirked. Check it, Naruto Uzumaki is here. For some reason, the crowd roared with cheers. Troublesome blonde, always has to have a grand entrance. Shikamaru mumbled. He never noticed that Gaara was eyeing the blonde with a sick smile now, but his siblings did and prayed for the blonde. XXX. Up in the stands, Beast Boy whooped for joy. Dude, that was awesome. I'll say, cheered Cyborg. Yes, our brother seems to have a flair for the theatrics. Blackfire commented with a chuckle. Ino rounded on them after she heard that. Brother. Yes, I am his older sister, Blackfire. I am his twin sister. Starfire. Cheered the redhead. Wow. Ino blinked while Choji continued to munch on his chips but blushed a bit at Blackfire. You have got to be kidding me. Ixi. Limed Kiba as he and Hinata had just arrived. You are related to Naruto. Yes. They answered. Kiba smirked and leaned in. Well, my name is Kiba and I am sure Naruto has said only good things about me. I have never heard of you. Should I have? Asked a clueless Starfire, to which just fell on his face. Blackfire just laughed. Oh wait, you're the boy Naruto beat with our puppet selves. That brought a gloom cloud over the dog boy. Ino could not handle it anymore and held her sides as she laughed hard. Robin gave the guy a look of sympathy. XXX. Genma was actually smirking at the display and called out. Now that our first contestant is finally here, we can start. Will Neji Hyuga and Naruto Uzumaki please stay here while the rest go up to the stands? The first round shall begin. After a few minutes, it was only Naruto and Neji facing each other off with Genma in the middle. First match. Naruto Uzumaki vs Neji Hyuga, begin. He said as he jumped away, however, nobody moved. Finally Neji spoke. You should just give up now. You winning against the Inuzuka was a fluke. I shall win this, as decreed by fate. Sighing, Naruto said. So you are on that fate stick huh? Well how a boo. I beat you and you forget about that crap because fate is just a useless word to me. I will show you that fate exists. Neji said angrily before Naruto threw a few kunai, to which he just caught effortlessly. Naruto smirked before he brought a fist up and then slammed it into the ground. Everyone's eyes bulged when the ground was broken up and Neji was having a hard time keeping his balance. Hanks to the ground cracking and rising up some. Up in the cage box, the Hokage and Kazekage were sweat dropping at there for different reasons. For the Hokage it was because he feared that Naruto would get along too well his student Suond, and for the Kazekage, was because he barely survived fighting the boy. Still think that fate said you had to win. Naruto's remark came and Neji roared as he jumped from rock to rock as he begun to fight the blonde. Naruto smirked as he backflipped and performed his shadow clone jutsu, creating about 50 of him. With his Byakugan activated, Neji glared at the clones and was surprised to find that they all had the same amount of chakra in them. What the hell is this? However, he didn't bother to listen for an explanation because he went off to the one that he thought was the real one and delivered a palm strike right to the blonde's neck. The clones begun to disappear and he deactivated his bloodline. That was a mistake. Naruto laughed as she disappeared in a poof of smoke. He had been up in the air after he had made his clones. How Neji didn't see that was a mystery to him. Where are you? Neji yelled. Up look, Naruto said. The Hyuga looked up and paled. In the air were 3 Naruto, who prepared to blast him with beams of ghostly blue flames. The hell? Thought Neji, alarmed as the jets of flame came at him. Gah, looks like I have to use it. Kaden. He then spun around so that his chakra created a sphere of swirling energy. The 3 jets of flame bounced of the attack, but not in the way people expected. They spiraled off, creating a spiral indentation in the already destroyed ground. That made the hole go quite XXX. Whoa ho! Kiba yelled with huge eyes. Wasn't that something, Akamaru? Arf. The Kaden, I wonder how her learned it, came Hinata quiet reply. Raven heard her and raised an eyebrow. I assume it is hard to learn, she asked, making the Hyuga jump a bit. Why yes, not many branch members can learn that attack, Hinata said, gaining some courage through her anger at this girl. The Titans looked at her oddly before Choji waved them off. It's a clan thing. Meanwhile, Sakura and Ino were having their own conversation. So who do you think will win this awesome battle? Ino asked. I am betting on Naruto since I trained with him during the month. Sakura replied as she watched the battle with wide eyes. Yeah, I do hope he wins. Ino smiled widely. XXX. Well, that was certainly interesting. The Cage commented. I agree. For branch member Hyuga to learn that is amazing, although, it seemed a good choice to use that to deflect the jets of flame. The Hokage observed. XXX. That attack, it is similar to the Rasengan. Thought Naruto as he touched down, which was a mistake because Neji had his Byakugan active and he was mad. I had to use that on such a commoner is such a disgrace. He raged as he blinked from his spot to right in front of the blonde, who blinked. 8 trigrams 64 palms. 2 palms. 4 palms. 8 palms. 16 palms. 32 palms. 64 palms. After all the strikes dealt to the blonde, Naruto fell right on his back from the force of it all. At that, there was collective gasp. Proter, call it. He won't be getting back up. Gemna looked back at Naruto and smirked. The boy was far from done as he was struggling to get back his feet. I am not done with you yet. Naruto growled to a shocked Neji. You should not even be able to get up after that. I blocked all of your chakra points. I am full of surprises. Now I will win like I promised in the preliminaries, for Hinata and Lee. Why won't you stay down? Fate has deemed you a failure and as such, a genius like me outclasses you. Neji sneered. Again with that fate crap. Why do you rely on that? Neji sighed as he took off his headband the wrappings underneath it to reveal an odd green seal. See this the cursed seal of the branch family of the Hyuga clan. It was put there to ensure our bloodline is kept safe, but it is to keep us in line. My father was killed because of this seal. Neji growled. You have lived on the streets without a care in the world, so what would you know about the pain of a seal destroying you life? The stadium went eerily quiet as Naruto's hair went over his eyes. Ino, Choji, Hinata, and Kiba, along with Lee, who had just arrived a few minutes ago, felt the killing intent from Naruto's oddly clothed friends and Sakura. They could tell that thing battle was about to get fierce. Don't know about the pain of a seal destroying my life, came Naruto's deadly voice. You don't know the half of it. I had a seal put on my the day I was born. You say you can't escape your fate because of some simple seal in your life. Well, I am here to tell you this. You are dead wrong. Oh, how so? If I had taken your way, I probably would have been broken into a weapon like Gaara, or let the villagers kill me when I was younger. I decided I didn't like that and fought tooth and nail to be here today, and it is only thanks to my bloodline that I am able to live freely. You see, it broke through my seal and destroyed my dark burden. I am a Jinchuriki no more. He yelled out, making a lot of eyes widen. Though most of the younger generation had no clue what he was talking about. Jinchuriki. The power of human Scarface. What does that have to do with you and this so-called dark burden? Asked Neji, now curious. Naruto smiled bitterly as his eyes shot to the cage box. You wanna know? Hey, I am sure everyone in the younger generation would like to know. Came Naruto's hollow reply, scaring a lot of people. You remember the old 9-tailed fox that attacked our village? Well, the fourth could not kill it, so he did the next best thing when dealing with the tailed beasts. He sealed it in me. Absolute silence. Yeah, and the older generation thought that I was the demon that killed many that day, me a newborn baby. They could never get it past their thick skulls that I was merely the jailer. That one thing that kept the beast at bay from killing everyone, yet every year there was an assassination attempt on my birthday by none other than the villagers. Naruto growled. And again, it is thanks to my bloodline that it is now gone, forever. Up in the stands, there were shocked faces all about, however, the younger generation were starting to question the older's sanity. The most shocked, however, were Naruto's classmates as they finally put all the pieces together. The Sand sibling were shell-shocked. So take that fate stick out of your ass and live your life for yourself. Naruto shouted. Neji looked to the sky as he watched some birds fly by. If you can beat me, then I know there is a chance and I will believe that Hinata-sama can become strong to get rid of the clan's seal. Fine by me. Naruto cheered with a smile now as he had finally got to Neji. Aarrrghhhh. He yelled as he forced open his chakra points in a huge explosion of chakra that formed a crater around him and made his hair and trench coat whip around like it was in the wind. You know, that makes him look cool and kind of cute. Ino observed. Yeah, Naruto. Kick his ass. Kiba and Sakura yelled before the whole stadium erupted into cheers for the blonde. You can do it. Cyborg cheered. All night long. Beast Boy joked. Yes. Kick the butt, brother. Starfire cheer. You can do it, I know you can. Both Hinata and Raven said, but they didn't seem to notice. Naruto smiled a true smile. You're right. I can do this. Naruto's voice echoed, but then felt strange for some reason. He remains of the old seal begun to glow a bit before his chakra skyrocketed and then that chakra begun to swirl around the blonde as it changed form. First it was his ghostly blue flames that took its place and then a few more different colored fires joined in. Up in the stands, Sakura, Starfire, and Blackfire were glowing with their fires, shocking those around them. Then for some reason, Hinata begun to glow as well. The colors that joined Naruto's were Sakura's pink flames, Starfire's green, Blackfire's purplish black, a lavender that belonged to Hinata, a yellow that obviously came from Minato, a red from Kushina, and surprising, white, from Paradox. Naruto blinked owlishly before he smiled and held out both hands and the fires compressed into a ball in his hand. I think this battle is over, Neji. He said loud enough for the boy to hear and flung the ball of multicolor to create a jet stream of heat. Had Neji not thrown up another Kaden, he would have been fried. The fire flew Saint the protective barrier and into the wall, breaking it open. The force of the flames moved Neji's Kaden away quite a few yards before they both cancelled out. However, Naruto did not give him much rest as he threw multiple fireballs at the Hyuga and Neji had to use the empty palm jutsu to cancel out the attacks, but that created a smokescreen. Naruto smirked and used that as his advantage. He made a ball of spinning energy in his hand and combined that with the multicolored flames. Flamethrower Rasengan. The blonde charged in through the smoke, shocking Neji with this new attack. The Hyuga barely had enough time to throw up another Kaden before it connected with the barrier. What happened next was shocking to all the Hyuga watching, including Hiyashi. The flames of the new Rasengan combined with the Kaden, creating a tornado of multicolored flames. However, Naruto eventually broke through and slammed the ball of chakra into Neji's gut. He seemed to stay there for a moment, until his body begun to spin and then shot off into the wall, creating an indent in the wall, with his body stuck to it right above the hole. Barely conscious, he called out some everyone could hear, "I accept defeat," he said as he watched the birds fly away and then he passes out. The stadium was dead quiet until Genma got out of his shock. Winner. Naruto Uzumaki. The crowd burst into loud cheers that could be heard throughout the village. Naruto flew over to the contestant box where he saw Shikamaru smirking at him. You just had to be a troublesome blonde, huh? Well, someone has to be. Naruto smirked. So what did you think? It certainly kept me awake. Shikamaru chuckled. Good. Naruto cheered while Shino eyed his former classmate. A near god on the battlefield and an idiot in life. I do not understand you, Naruto. Shino thought stoically. What is this kid? Are all Konoha shinobi this crazy and strong? Were Temari's thoughts as she eyed the blonde with a slight blush making Kankuro roll his eyes. Gaara eyed him warily. Mother is being awfully quiet about you, Naruto Uzumaki. Why? XXX. Curse that boy. I will make sure he dies in the invasion. Orochimaru angrily thought in his cage disguise. I am surprised that the boy won against the Hyuga prodigy. Yes, well, Naruto is full of surprises, chuckled Sarutobi, not at all surprised. XXX. As people talked about Naruto's stellar victory, Sakura slumped in her seat. Wow, Naruto's popular all of a sudden. I need to work harder to catch up. She then blinked. Hey Hinata, I noticed that one of Naruto's fires was lavender. Did he teach you that jutsu? No. Hinata replied. I watched you train some of the time and I picked up the hand signs and tried it for myself. Oh, okay then. Sakura said, a little miffed. Dude, that was so awesome. Beast Boy cheered. Why thank you. Naruto said as he appeared behind him. Dude, how did you do that? Beast Boy, we are in a ninja village. Raven drawled. Hey, I knew that. Sweated Beast Boy. Don't worry about it BB. I am a clone, and I am glad you all liked the battle. Well, I certainly learned a few things. Robin said. You were pretty resourceful. Yeah, that was pretty good. Cyborg stated. My favorite part was when you guys created the multicolored flaming tornado. Yeah, that was so badass. Kiba said, jumping in on the conversation. Thanks guys. I will let the original know. The Naruto clone said before poofing out of there. XXX. Naruto frowned when Kankuro forfeited the match. And before Shikamaru could do the same with his own, Naruto murked as he, lightly, pushed Shikamaru into the ring. However, that push was powered by Naruto's super strength, so the shadow user was literally pushed halfway into the area where he crashed into Temari. Oops, was the blonde's loud reply, which got a few chuckles. However, the perverts of Konoha were all cursing Shikamaru. For he had landed on top of the blonde girl and his face was in between her breasts. Shikamaru groaned as he figured out what happened and he knew he was in trouble, but he might as well just stay there until she goes crazy about. A tick mark appeared on Temari's brow as He noticed where Shikamaru had landed and saw red when he groaned pitifully. She grabbed his head as she quickly stood up before punting him away from her. Genma, who had been watching in amusement, coughed to get their attention. Well, I guess you can begin now, he said lamely before disappearing from the area. XXX skipping that boring-ass battle. Temari stared in shock at the lazy ninja front of her. She had been winning this fight like it was nothing. Sure, there were a few close calls with this guy's shadow powers, but kept a reasonable distance from him. However, after that weird stance he took, Shikamaru made his way to the shadow of the wall of the area. There he made his shadow combine with the wall's shadow and sent it out after her. Luckily for her, it did not reach and then he did something she did not expect. The guy used all of the shadows of the unturned rocks created by Naruto's strength and made a literal web of shadows to entrap her and finally catch her. Shikamaru was visibly sweating. He had never done this before, being unpredictable like his blonde friend was tiring and a pain in the ass. He looked at her boredly. I thought of 200 ways to beat you, but with all these shadows connecting and keeping them, like this, it is exhausting, so I give up. Say what? Yelled Naruto and Ino. So that is it? Temari asked with a slight twitch in her eye. Yep, Shikamaru sighed. Well, if you say so. Genma said. Temari is the winner. The crowd was surprised by this battle. It was not as good as Naruto's flashy battle, but a lot of the Jonin nodded their heads to the strategy of it all. Are you kidding? Naruto shouted as he flew right in Shikamaru's face. Not everyone is a chakra monster like you, Naruto. The shadow user sighed. Besides, I wasted enough time for the Uchiha on your team to get here. On that note, there was a swirl of leaves and the final members of Team 7 finally arrived. Kakashi took one look around the area and asked. The hell happened here? Oh, that was my battle with Neji. Naruto replied nonchalantly, making a lot of people sweat drop. Yeah, the rest of what Temari did with wind jutsu in our battle, droned Shikamaru. Oh, Kakashi said before looking at Genma. I take it he toned down the power to not kill the Hyuga. Barely. Genma stated. That human-shaped mark in the wall was where he flew into after Naruto used the False Rasengan. Kakashi's eye widened before he shrugged it off for now. So are we late? Genma rolled his eyes. When are you not? Anyway, the Uchiha's battle is now, so get ready. Sasuke nodded before he stared at Naruto. I will win and then I will be you. We'll see. Naruto smiled innocently before he and Shikamaru walked back to the contestant box, where they ran into Gaara, killing off two foreign ninja before walking past them without a glance. Gee, talk about nuts, deadpanned Naruto. Come on Naruto. Let's get out of here before he decides to come back. Panicked Shikamaru. Yeah. XXX. Meanwhile, Sasuke was staring down the crazy sand ninja. As soon as Genma said to begin, the Uchiha sent a few shuriken at Gaara, who created a sand clone to take the weapons. Sasuke made not facial expression as he used Lee's speed to run around the sand user. Gaara was looking around frantically, trying to figure out where the Uchiha would attack. Then the Uchiha was attacking him from all directions. The sand barely protecting him. The Uchiha finally got through and Gaara had enough. So he summoned all his sand to him to form a giant circle-like shell around. Sasuke, thinking it was normal, rushed up to it to get a punch on it but was unprepared for the sand spike to jut out at him. He backflipped quickly to get away. He growled silently that he would have to use the attack Kakashi taught him so early in this fight. XXX. As he ran up the wall to gather chakra, Kakashi was with the other Konoha ninja and the titans. Guy took a look at the stance the Uchiha was in and stared in shock at Kakashi. Tell me you did not teach him that jutsu. Oh I did. Seemed appropriate that he know that just you for this battle. Kakashi stated. What jutsu is that? Sakura asked. A blade of pure lightning. Replied Guy with a shadow over his eyes. That caught the attention of Cyborg and Robin. Is there anything ninja can't do? Robin asked. Who knows? Blackfire shrugged. Beast B. Oi looked to see that Cyborg was in deep thought. What's up dude? I wonder if I could modify my arm to create that lightning blade. Probably. Raven stated. Why would you need the blade of the lightning? Asked Starfire. Oh just to have for just in case. Cyborg stated. That was when they heard the sound of 1,000 birds chirping. Whoa. Beast Boy yelled as he saw the loud and flashy attack on the Uchiha fist. XXX. Sasuke formed said attack and smirked. He would win this battle. Chidori. He yelled as he sped down the wall and ran straight for Gaara's sand shell. He easily dodged the sand spikes and plunged the Chidori into the dome of sand, cutting through it like a hot knife through butter. For a moment, everything went deathly silent. No one made a noise. The wind stopped and no animals were heard. Akamaru begun to shiver on Kiba's head and the boy knew that was a bad sign. Then, they all heard a blood-curdling scream and the ground cracked and shook. Blood. My blood. The dome of sand exploded and Mini emerged before it grabbed the Uchiha and flung him into the same spot Neji was thrown into, effectively shattering it. Then the sand exploded to reveal a mini Shukaku. XXX. Orochimaru growled at the stupidity of the one-tailed Jinchuriki. Oh well, might as well start now. He gave a sign to Kabuto to begin and people began to fall asleep except for Naruto's Konoha friends and the titans. Well Sarutobi, I guess it is time. The man said as he stood up. The Hokage sighed. He knew this was going to happen but he did not expect the Cage to be in on this. I suppose so Cage dono. Oh and another thing. The fake Cage said as he ripped of his robes to reveal his true nature. Orochimaru. Where is the Cage? Oh I have already taken care of him. Orochimaru replied deadly as they begun to battle. XXX. Naruto jumped out onto the area floor, eyeing the chaos around him. Sound and Sand Ninja were coming out nowhere and attacking his home. Luck. Ili Kakashi and his eternal rival were beating the ninja that came near them and the others. He saw that the old man had begun to battle that snake freak, Orochimaru. However, before he pondered how to help, Sand lashed out at him. Gaara was drooling at him and with a killer look in his eyes. Mother will have your blood. Then my existence will truly be justified. Oh come on, we all know you exist. Naruto shouted back as he dodged a tendril of sand. Okay look, I know you have had a crappy childhood like me but being a Jinchuriki that is a given. Shut up. Gaara yelled as sand shot out from him into Naruto at high speeds. Hey Shikamaru. I could use some help. Naruto yelled to the shadow user back in the contestant box, who was pretending to be asleep. Oh come on. He yelled as he dodged another batch of sand shuriken. He then noticed that the cage box was being surrounded by a strange purple box. Crap that can't be good. He knew he needed to get up there to help the old man. Ince it seemed that the Anbu were not going to anything. So, thinking quickly, he eyed his friends back in the stands, Shino and Kankuro fighting, Temari observing his and Gaara's fight since Shikama. Ru didn't feeling like fighting and then back at the cage box. He looked at Gaara and decided to play a Kakashi on him while trying to get his friend's attention. He just hoped this plan worked. He ran up to Gaara with a kunai and tried to stab the red head but was batted away thanks to the sand tail. He took that to his advantage and swung around with it as he attached and exploding to it as he mmed the kunai near where the tail met the nutjob's ass. Those who were watching, which included a now awake Sasuke, Shikamaru, and Temari, sweat dropped. I can't believe that idiot did that. Sasuke grumbled as he face-palmed himself. Then the kunai exploded, catching everyone's attention. The Uchiha blinked stupidly before falling back on his ass and chuckled at the sight of the sand flowing off Gaara. Oh, that is rich. Naruto took that to his advantage again and flew right up to Gaara, punching him right in the gut. Gaara doubled over in pain before Naruto followed up with an uppercut and sent the boy into the air. Naruto sent a few clones to deal with him in the air while Naruto turned and shouted at his friends. Starfire, Blackfire, Sakura, Hinata. We can take this guy. I have to leave AT clone behind to help the old man. Are you nuts? Sakura screamed as she zoomed down to rattle the blonde. A stupid clone is useless against this guy. Do you mean that the clone that takes more than one hit, brother? Starfire asked. Yeah, and I will fill it with 2 tails worth of chakra. Naruto said as he made said clone. That should be enough for you guys, my clone, and Sasuke to beat Gaara. Hinata looked uncertain, which Blackfire caught and put a hand on the girl's shoulder. I am sure we can do that. The girls nodded to each other just as Gaara landed on the ground again. I am going to kill you all. He screamed. Naruto looked at him uninterestedly and said, that's nice, but I got to help the old man. I am sure my clone and these nice ladies will take great care of you. Ahem, I am still here, Sasuke said. Like I said, these nice ladies will take care your needs. Naruto smirked before flying off, laughing. Damn it. Sasuke growled as he took his PLA. CE next to the girls and Naruto's T-clone. XXX. The real Naruto appeared next to the Anbu on the roof. So, how is it going? Naruto asked nonchalantly. Uzumaki-san, Hokage-sama is locked in battle WI. Orochimaru and his sound ninja created this barrier to keep us out. We cannot get in from the side or the top unless we want to burn and die. Naruto nodded as he eyed the barrier critically. There obviously was not a bottom side to it, or else the old man and Orochimaru would have died already. Well, I only see one other option. Follow me, boys. Naruto backflipped into the air and fell down the building until he begun to fly again and plowed through the building's wall and made his way through the roof, with the Anbu appearing shortly after. Orochimaru and Sarutobi looked at them oddly before said, "Hey, though you could use some help, old man," Naruto said before he hovered in midair and blasted a corner of the square, hitting one of the Sound 4, disrupting the barrier. The Anbu to their chance and engaged the Sound 4. You should not have done that, boy. Orochimaru growled. Oh, I think I did some good. Now we can pick up from where we left off in the Forest of Death. Naruto said seriously before he looked at a shocked Sarutobi. Hey old man, where did you get that big staff? I am not a staff. It said, I am Emma the Monkey King. Naruto blinked stupidly before saying, cool. I wonder what the toads and phoenixes can do. Hello. I am still here. Orochimaru irritably said. Oh right, the weird snake man. Naruto said, getting sweat drops from both men. Fire style. Star fall. Orochimaru easily dodged the attack with a backflip. Enough of this bullshit, he screamed as he bit his thumbs. I guess I will be using this jutsu with more people in it. Summoning. Impure World Resurrection. Naruto and Sarutobi tensed as 4 coffins begun to rise from the ground. Sarutobi knew that if the one with the kanji for the 4th Hokage rose, they would be toast, so he Senso shuriken at it and it stopped midway before sinking back into the ground. He thought it would take more, but he then remembered what Minato did. However, that did not matter at the moment because Ii and Naruto had to deal with the 1st and 2nd Hokages and Naruto Ant. This really sucked in his book. As the coffins rose and the one Naruto paid more attention to was the one that had the kanji for second Uzukage on it. They opened and again, Naruto paid no mind to the old Hokages because his attention was on the red head in front of him. Aunt Kushina. XXX. Oh, this is so not good. The Naruto clone yelled out as they were again batted away from Gaara via a large wave of sand. Sasuke had tired to get Gaara again with the Chidori but missed thanks to a sand bullet veering him off course. Of course he tried again after that. Even though Kakashi said to use it only twice and his curse seal activated, incapacitating him. So naturally, someone had to get him out of the line of fire and that someone was Sakura. So he was forced to watch. The clone rushed up and sent a wave of blue fire at Gaara who again blocked with his sand, only this time, some of the sand had turned to glass. He eyed it for a moment before he cut his eyes to the sand that Sasuke's Chidori had turned to glass and smirked as a new plan formed in his head. Alright, let's all hit him with some fire. He yelled. The girls nodded as they all formed a five-pointed star around the sand man and shot Gaara with their respective flames. The odd thing was, when Gaara was entrapped in glass, it was multicolored. Well, that was easy. Sakura cheered with Hinata smiled behind her. Blackfire and Starfire eyed the glass for a second before they saw multiple cracks. Duck! They yelled. That floored everyone as the glass exploded outward and sand shot up into the sky. You amuse me, Uzumaki. Gaara yelled in his giant Shukaku form. What makes you and your friends so strong? Naruto eyed the sand monster from his position inside. You have got to be kidding me. He deadpanned before flying upward to answer Gaara. I fight to protect me friends. Fighting to protect my precious people is what makes me strong. I fight only for myself. And we shall see whose way is stronger. Gaara yelled before he rose arms and crashed them right on Naruto, sending him into the ground. Naruto! The girls screamed, until they saw the clone getting out the hole his body made. He cracked his back painfully and looked to Gaara with a glare before he smirked and went through some hand signs. Jiraiya is probably using the Toad boss. So that leaves me with the Phoenix boss. Summoning Jutsu, Phoenix King. In a large poof of smoke, a large figure shot up into the sky with a screech that rang throughout the whole village. There Naruto stood on the head of a giant flaming bird. Naruto grimaced some though, crap, that took more than half of my chakra. I just hope the boss can hold his own with that snake freak. He then got an image of what his real self was up against. Oh, crap. XXX. Naruto screamed in horror as a massive wave of water that was sent after him. Oh come on. Why do I have to fight people that use water? He screamed until he was wrapped up with a flame's chakra chain and then pulled towards the red head. He managed to get his right arm out and pointed it at Kushina. I am sorry, he said as he say. NT out a blast of blue fire at the red head. It went right through her left arm and took a good chunk out of her face. She looked a little happy that he had gotten in a good shot. He then saw the meta. Kunai that Orochimaru had stuck in her head and growled. He would free his aunt from that man's psychotic grip. However, before he could do so, the entire top of the building was covered in huge-ass trees. And then another wave came towards him, forcing the blonde to dodge by shooting up in the air. From above he could see the old man fighting like a badass against the first and second Ho Cages with Orochimaru standing by the side looking pleased. But he could also see that old man tiring. I have got find a way to stop this. Right after he said that, he barely dodged a chain of flammy chakra sent to him by a now flying Kushina. Crap. He deadpanned as he flew higher and dodged her balls of flame by spiraling in the air. He then got an idea, a just that he used back in the Forest of Death. He did a few hand signs. Letting get in close before he yelled out, Star Flare. He said as his body shone with bright blue light, blinding and disorienting her for a moment. He then reached out to all the stars and the sun and brought in all the energy he could. He looked at his aunt and sighed heavily. I am sorry. Fire style. Nova shot. XXX. A few minutes before, the clone was screaming as the phoenix was spiraling to get out of the way of all the sand and air bullets sent its way. He then got an idea. Boss, grab the girls, I got a plan. The Phoenix King nodded silently before dived down to the girls. Once he caught sight of them, he shouted, hop on. Doing as they were told, they got onto the giant flaming bird, which did not burn them. Okay, here is the plan. The Phoenix clan can absorb fire and make it a lot more powerful. So that is what we are going to do. Sounds good to me, Blackfire stated with her sister nodding in agreement. Okay, once we get high enough in the air, get to the wings and then my friend will immobilize the Sandman. They nodded, and once they were in position, they begun lending their fire the giant bird. Just as the bird was about to send off its attack, the clone felt its real self gather a lot of solar energy. Fire style, Nova shot. Fire style, Phoenix blast. The attacks hit their respective targets. A massive wave of Multico. Lord Fire crashed down on the Shukakufied Gaara and made every part of the boy around him glass. The Nova shot was all white and it ripped right through Kushina, with only the strange kunai left behind. Naruto grabbed it and eyed the seal on it before his eyes widened and he rushed back into the fight to help the old man. Meanwhile, the clone ran off the beak of the phoenix before blasting at the form of Gaara trapped in the glass with a completely shocked look on his face while the girl yelled after him. The clone made his fist go aflame with blue fire and crashed right through the glass, making it shatter around the two boys as Naruto gut-punched Gaara and followed up with an axe kick to the boy's back as he doubled over in pain, sending him hard into the ground as huge shards of glass rained down around them. Gaara painfully rolled onto his back and looked to the sky, then to the Naruto clone who was crouched on his knees, just about out of chakra. Gaara sighed as he knew. Had been beaten and Naruto had proved his point. Alright, I give up, he said as he just laid there. Oh good, smiled the clone before it fell over and poofed out of existence. Shortly after, the GIRLS and landed and begun walking over to Gaara but stopped when Tamari and Kankuro appeared and hauled the red-headed boy away. XXX. The real Naruto got all the memories of his clone and smiled before crashed down on the first Hokage. He then jumped off and kicked the man in the face, sending him into his brother. Old man, the kunai. We got to get them out. Sarutobi's eyes widened at that tidbit of information before a memory of his past hit him. If this worked, they could save and revive the old Hokages for good. Do it. I get the second Hokage while you get the first. Right, Naruto said, as he took out his bass guitar and smashed the first right in the face and then appeared behind him in a blue flash and whacked him in the back, sending him up in the air. Naruto rocketed upwards and plunged his hand into the man's neck and ripped out the kunai, making the man crash on the ground next the second Hokage's body. The old man got to work, applied some seal to their bodies while Naruto was then attacked by an enraged Orochimaru. I am going to kill you. The snake man yelled. You have ruined my plans for the last time. So what? Laughed Naruto as he dodged the man's attacks before he got another idea. He disappeared and then reappeared behind the surprised man before he grabbed his right arm, snapped it at the elbow and then threw him at Sarutobi. Batter up. The old man SMI. Led and used Enma's staff to whack Orochimaru right in the face and sent him back at the blonde, who had Zabuza's sword out, and right as he passed him, Naruto sliced the man's good arm off while he caught him by his snapped arm, making the man scream out in pain. I heard you wanted to learn all the jutsu in the world. It is going to be really hard to do that with a broken arm. Here, let me help you with that. Naruto smirked evilly before he hacked off Orochimaru's other arm. There, now it is impossible for you, Naruto stated a little too happily. Damn you Uzumaki. Orochimaru screamed out in pain as the sound four made their way over to them and grabbed the snake man in his arms and hightailed it out of there. Naruto turned around to see the first three Hokages looking at him with the Anbu blankly staring at the old Hokages. Well, that was fun. It had been a week since the one-day war in the village hidden in the leaves. Since then, Naruto, Jiraiya, and the third Hokage went about eating a special seal that made the old Hokages that has come back to life stay in the world of the living until they die again naturally. It worked. So the rest of the time, Naruto was put to work with the rest of the Rookie 9 to clean up and repair the village. He had made it easy for everyone by creating massive amounts of clones to help with the repairs. Right now, Naruto was lounging about with Shikamaru on a hill in the park. He had to admit, it was relaxing, but since the shadow user did this all the time, that just made him lazy and everyone pretty much knew that. Looking up, he saw an Anbu appear. Uzumaki, Nara. The Hokage wishes to see you. They nodded, signifying that it was safe for the Anbu to leave. Once he was gone, Naruto turned to his lazy friend and asked, "So, how y'all wanna get there?" Shikamaru groaned. "Just Azure Flame me there." Nodding, Naruto put a hand on the shadow user's shoulder and they went up in flame. A few seconds later, they appeared in the Hokage's office, where the first and second Hokages were helping the third do paperwork with anime-style tears on their face. Shikamaru leaned over to Naruto and said, "I will never get used to seeing those two alive." Hearing this, Sarutobi looked up and smiled. "You will in time, Nara-san," he said. "Now, the reason I called you here is because I have promotions for the two of you. Shikamaru, you are now a Chunin." Shikamaru groaned. Now he would have to do more work. Sarutobi blinked before laughing. "You know, your father did the same thing when I promoted him. Well, he did the same thing both times I promoted him." "Don't worry, Shikamaru. It won't be that bad," Naruto said while slapping his back, throwing the shadow user against the Hokage's desk. "Sorry." Shikamaru grumbled something about trouble. Some alien blondes before he took the Chunin vest and walked back to Naruto. "Now, we were going to promote you to Chunin Naruto, but the Might teachers think that you have done enough to have earned the rank of Special Jonin. Congrats." Naruto smirked as he took the Jonin vest, not that he would actually wear it, and thanked the men. "You know, I don't think Sasuke will be happy," he said. "But you know I really don't care." Jiraiya, who had come in through the window, laughed and said, "You know, I figured that." "Hey, Ero Sennin," Naruto said with a smile. "Stop calling me that. Stop being a perv then." "Never. Will you two stop? I called you here for a reason, Jiraiya." The third shouted, a bit annoyed by their antics. Seeing he had their attention, he continued, "Now, I want Jiraiya and Naruto to search for Tsunade. I am getting way too old for this crap and neither of my teachers want to take up the position, not that I blame them." "Oh, good choice," Jiraiya said with a thumbs up. "I am so glad you did not pick me." Sarutobi looked at his student with a smile. "Yes, you still have your spy network that you have to check. Don't forget about my research." "Oh brother," Naruto said with crossed arms. He looked back at the Hokage and asked, "So, where are we going to find her and what does she look like?" Shikamaru sighed. "You really are an idiot. She is one of the Sennin like Jiraiya, but she was into healing." "Where were you in class anyway?" Naruto smiled. "Well, depends on the day," he said thoughtfully, making everyone slap their heads. "So, let's just head out. I am sure Ero Sennin will know when he sees her." "Hey Shika, you coming with us?" "No, I am sure I have other troublesome stuff to do now that I am a Chunin," Shikamaru said with a sigh as he walked out of the office. "Well, come on kid. We got an old hottie to find," Jiraiya said, making Naruto raise an eyebrow at the odd word usage. "If she is as old as you, then things could be interesting, but I doubt she is as hot as you say." "Oh, you'd be surprised kid," Jiraiya said with a lecherous grin as they left the office. Sarutobi had somehow developed a twitch while everything was going on. "I am so glad this going to be over soon. I already had to deal with one generation of this, I left Tsunade get the gray hairs out of it. XXX. So, I am a bit surprised that you didn't tell your teammates that you came out here with me," Jiraiya said. Shikamaru knows, he will tell them, eventually," Naruto said with a smile. "If you say so kid." Jiraiya then smiled. "I guess it is time for you to learn some more about the Rasengan." "Oh, and what is that?" "It is incomplete. Your uncle wanted to add an element to it and then change the shape," Jiraiya informed the blonde. "Oh, I think I got the element in there in my battle with Neji." Quote, "Yes, Sarutobi told me about that, but we must add more power to it. Try making it from new elements." "Oh, that should be fun." Naruto deadpanned. "Well, I think it will be a long trip. So we got plenty of time," Jiraiya said with smirk. Throughout the trip, Naruto worked on the Wind Rasengan, with the pervert giving him advice when he was not staring at girls and in a brothel while in a town. However, right now, they were on the outskirts of a town and Naruto was testing the new jutsu. "Alright, let's get this started," Naruto cheered. The Toad Sage chuckled as he created his own Rasengan. Naruto created a Rasengan made entirely out of wind. They charged at one another and when those attacks connected, Jiraiya was blasted back a few yards. Laughing, He got up and said, "I knew you could do it. Now let's get into town." Nodding, the blonde walked with the sage to town, but when they get there, the blonde's eyes started twitching. Why? Well, as soon as they entered town, Jiraiya got a wink from an attractive black-haired woman in a blue dress. That made Jiraiya run off after her while tell him to get a room and to just meditate or something. Sighing at the idiocy of his teacher, the blonde walked toward the bed in his room that he got and begun to meditate it. Thinking that this was the best time to see the Titans, he made his way there. Titans were actually having a boring day. No villains bothered to attack or rob anyone, and it was annoying. It was annoying because Robin had to deal with his teammates' antic while on downtime. Wondered why he was in his room most of the time. At least with Batman there was some peace and quiet, but the trade-off for that was having to battle complete psychos. Suddenly, a poof of smoke appeared in the middle of the common room. Getting everyone's attention, Robin smirked. Naruto always came at the right moment. "Glad to see you, Naruto." "Thanks man, but I can't stay for long." Naruto ate as he sat down on the couch next to a smiling Beast Boy and Cyborg. "Still looking for the Tsunade?" asked the blonde's twin sister. "Yep, but we ran into a snag. The old pervert got charmed by some chick when we got to town," Naruto said, getting rolled from everyone. "Hey, where's Big Sis?" "Blackfire went into town, saying we were irritating," Star said. Naruto shrugged. He looked around at his friends and someone popped into his head. "Hey, that reminds me. Whatever happened to Terra? I can't get a connection with her, all I get in a stone wall." The Titans looked at each other sadly. He knew the blonde was fond of the girl and they were good friends and all, but who knew what this would do to him? Beast Boy sighed sadly as he stood up. "Come on dude, we take you to her." "Oh, so you know where she is," Naruto said. But in the back of his mind, he was dreading something. The atmosphere when he asked about her went sad. "Yes brother," Star said, and she floated in midair next to her brother and along with Raven, who wisely kept her mouth shut. He could not believe his eyes. The Titans had been eerily quiet throughout the whole trip to see Terra. When they arrived at a cave, he wanted to joke around, but seeing their faces made him stop. When they got to the place where Terra was now a stone statue, they explained everything to him. The very reason that he could not contact them during the break before the finals. Terra had gone to Slade's side, but in the end, she turned against him, making the man fall into a pit of lava. But that had not ended there. The cave was a volcano and she used her entire being to stop it, turning her into stone. Shit, Naruto whispered to himself. He hated to lose friends. Hated it so much. He looked her over and saw that she looked to be concentrating real hard. There was also the third's book on her hip, that was stone as well. He reached for her hand and gripped it. "I'm sorry I wasn't there," he said. Vision time. At the moment, there was flash before his eyes. He found himself still in the cave, but he was now transparent and not in the same spot was in before. He was looking at her from a few feet away and saw that just Beast Boy and another figure were in the cave. "You sure this will work dude?" BB asked the figure. Naruto looked to the figure and widened his eyes. He saw himself in a green and white striped bucket hat, an orange shirt, blue jeans, and some black shoes. From the serious and calm expression his other self was showing, the blonde concluded that it was Akatsuki. He wondered how this was possible. Akatsuki nodded and said, "Yes. This seal will free her from this stone prison she had encased herself in." He paused for a moment and said, "Beast Boy, take care of her for me. I thought I lost her because her feelings of regret for thinking she killed me. And know this green bean, break her heart and I will kill you." "Alright," Beast Boy said, a little put off that a civilian was telling him this. Naruto saw his other self drawing a seal that he memorized instantly. When Akatsuki activated it, there was a flash of light and Terra was back to normal. She blinked a few times before she gasped and lunged at the green changeling. "Beast Boy, you're okay." She paused and said, "How am I okay though?" "Oh, my friend Naruto used something called a seal to free you." "Right, Nar." Beast Boy started to say only for his blonde friend to not be there. However, hearing the name of her once lover made Terra rush off toward the exit. "Terra wait," BB shouted as he ran to catch up to her. Once they reach the exit, the vision Naruto as well. They see Akatsuki just standing there with his hand on the top of his hat. Naruto. Terra whisper happy as a tear streaked down her cheek. Akatsuki turned his head, a red Sharingan eye staring at the Green Titan menacingly, sadly ignoring Terra. Remember what I said, Beast Boy? Akatsuki said, voice full of sadness as he took his hat, his clothes shifted to the T of his hero appearance before he completely disappeared. The area flashed again. Vision end. Naruto blinked stupidly as Raven waved her hand in front of him a few times. What was that about? U.S. Suddenly froze up and just stared in space. She said. Naruto sighed as he detached his hand from Terra's stone one. He smiled, but Robin saw that it was full of confusion. I had a vision. It was odd. But I saw Akatsuki and Beast Boy in here. My alternate self seemed to be able to free Terra and I have the seal. Really? Beast Boy shouted happily. That's great. Let's do it now. Naruto suddenly heard knocking. Ah, crap. I will return. I heard someone knocking on the door, but I promise I will get Terra back. Foxfire said with a smirk, easing their fears before he went up in a poof of smoke. XXX. Naruto growled as he got off the bed, ready to chew out the old pervert. He opens the door, find two men in Akatsuki uniforms. Okay, either you're friends of my alternate self or I am in deep shit. One of the men, a tall blue fish-like man, smirked while his shorter companion showed no emotion at all. Now that he got a good look at the guy, he looked like an older version of Sasuke. The shorter man began to speak. Hello, Naruto-kun. You are coming with us. Naruto raised an eyebrow as he felt his body move out into the hallway. He had already subconsciously set up the link with the Titans so they could see through their TV. Hey Itachi, should I chop off his legs so he can't escape? Itachi cut his eyes to his partner and said, that won't be necessary, Kisame. Ah, shit. Sasuke's older brother and some fish man. Naruto thought. He then smiled. Well, if you really want me that bad, I am going to have to decline because I don't swing that way. He then backflipped into the room before he shot out of the window. He knew this was going to be a battleground and the people in the hotel didn't need to be a part of it. Back with the two Akatsuki members. Itachi was laughing in his head while Kisame and a twitch on his eye. Did just called up gay pedophiles. Itachi nodded, it would seem so, but he knows that we are after him and he is waiting for us. Tisk, how noble to take the fight outside. Kisame deadpanned. Once the duo was outside, they found Naruto hovering in midair. Kisame leaned toward his friend and asked, did you know he could do that? Itachi gave the fish man a look. Oh yeah, right. You weren't home enough to know that. Itachi walked forward. Naruto-kun, please come with us. Yeah, Naruto drawled, I am going to have to say no. Hey, why do they always fight? Kisame said as he calmly walked towards the blonde while taking his sword off his back. Give ya a tip, kid. Look at the angle of my wrist and will be able to see where I am swinging my sword. Naruto just stood there with a smile as the Samahata came crashing down on him, kicking up a lot of dust. When the dust cleared, Kisami's eyes widened when he saw Zabuza's sword blocking his shark-like sword. I know, Naruto said with a smirk before he pushed the sword away from himself. Fire style, star flare. Naruto shouted as his body began to glow a bright blue, making Kisame back up. Why? Itachi merely closed his eyes and turned his head. Arg, what the hell was that? Kisame growled as he rubbed his eyes, trying to get the spots out of his eyes, however he was caught off guard. Na blue bass guitar collided with the side of his head, sending him flying away. Okay, now I am pissed, Kisame yelled, but Itachi held out his hand. What now? It seems Naruto-kun has eaten tofu recently. The strange weapon is a testament to that. Itachi said. Okay, and how would you know that? Naruto asked. I was one of your Anbu protectors before I left. I thought sugar was bad enough, but it seemed that tofu had a strange effect on you when I gave it to you. You turned yourself into lightning. Sweet, Naruto said with a smile, wondering if he could do that now. Itachi. Suddenly yelled a voice. Hello, little brother. Itachi said. Naruto blinked as he saw his teammate, Sasuke Uchiha, right next to him. Sasuke. What are you doing here? They have been in Konoha, looking for you. Sasuke said with a menacing look in his eye. I came to kill him. Do you have enough hate? Itachi asked calmly. Seeing this, Naruto put a hand on Sasuke's shoulder. Sasuke, you can't do this alone. Yes I can. He killed our family. He is making it harder for you to kill him by making you angry. Naruto said in a no-nonsense voice. Think about it, a genin killing an S-rank missing nin. That is just comical. I am sure with a bit of teamwork we can stand a chance. Sasuke growled to himself before he remembered the belt test, and even though he had the curse seal, it had not helped him that much so far. So, swallowing his pride he said, fine, but if we manage to weaken him near death, I will deal the finishing blow. You do still know that I am still here, right? Kisame said from his spot next to Itachi. Naruto blinked. Oh yeah, you're still alive. He said, getting a sweat drop from everyone. Alright, let's just create some chaos. Naruto said with smile, making Sasuke wonder if he would get out of this alive with his insane teammate. Kisame, you know what to do. Itachi said, making the shark-like man smirk before he rushed the two young boys, creating two water clones. Naruto jumped in the air, yelling, Soul Sword 2. His large blade disappeared in a flurry of pink, making Kisame's eye twitch. Itachi widened his eyes and said, be on guard. What? Why? The shish. Arc Man asked before he dodged a downpour of pink by switching with his clone. When it cleared, he saw that it was riddled with gashes and cuts before it popped out of existence. Oh, that's why. He deadpanned to himself before he dodged another swing from the guitar, sending him in the path of Sasuke's attack. Fire style. Great fireball jutsu. The shark man switched with his last clone, but it seemed that Naruto expected this and he sent a barrage of blue fireballs at him. Kisame dodged them easily before Naruto came in hot with blue flaming fists. Every time he swung, the pink storm would rear its head and strike out at Kisame, who learned the hard way that he need to constantly dodge out his would be nothing but a slab of meat if he got caught. Hey, he already paid that price with his shoulder. Gripping his bloody shoulder, Kisame watched Naruto created some type of Rasengan. Naruto smirked. He may not be an expert with fire-style Rasengan, but now was the best time to try it out. Since he had been work on it along with the wind style. Naruto held out his hand as a blue flaming Rasengan formed in his hand. Seeing that it was going okay, he pulled the power of the stars and added it to the new attack. Take this. Fire style. Nova Rasengan. Before Kisame could react, Naruto disappeared in flames of blue before he reappeared the same way in front of the shark-like man before the attack connected with his chest. Kisame screamed at the same time that Sasuke did, with brother forcing him into a Tsukuyomi. While Sasuke was being mentally tortured by his brother, Kisame was being tortured by the intense heat created by Naruto's new attack, as it burnt and shredded his chest before it exploded and sent the Shake Man into the wall next to Itachi, who had just gotten done as he dropped Sasuke. Itachi eyed Naruto for a moment before he turned his head to look at Kisame. Kisame, we are leaving. Why? I can still fight. Not both him and Jiraiya-sama. Itachi said as he walked up to his partner before they both body flickered out of there. Naruto turned to see Jiraiya was indeed there with the lady from before on his shoulder. Okay, I really don't want to know what you did with her. He said, seeing that her clothes were a bit ruffled. Shut up, brat, Jiraiya said annoyed. The real question is what we are going to do with the Uchiha. I have an idea, but it might scar the guy for life. Naruto offered with an innocent smile. At Jiraiya's questioning look, Naruto said, throw him into a pit with all his fangirls, that might snap him out of whatever Itachi did. Jiraiya laughed because he had the same thought with Orochimaru back in the day. I don't think that would Dynamic entry. Yelled out a familiar voice as someone slammed their foot into Jiraiya's face. It took a few seconds, but fell on his ass laughing at the stupidity of it all. The end. Thanks for watching. Also remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next